Oh, goodness. Okay, there we go. My mic was turned down. Brilliant. Welcome to Midnight Monsters. This is Spooky Boo. So we have only a half an hour tonight, actually only 57 minutes now, to go into the stories and take calls. Midnight Monsters is a show that's on the side of Spooky Boo Scary Story Time. Midnight Monsters is where people can call in their own live stories about scary things, your true scary stories. The phone number is 516-453-9150. The show is funded by listeners at Patreon. Take a check at Patreon, www.patreon.com/SpookyBooScaryStorytime. And if you'd like to help the show out, or you would like to subscribe to the podcast, go to patreon.com/SpookyBooScaryStorytime, and you will be able to get a commercial-free podcast, have some fun, listen to some other videos, that kind of thing. If you can hear my cat, I'm very sorry. He is very loud. His name is Gigi, and he likes to pretend like he still has a pair anyway. So, if you haven't subscribed to the Midnight Monsters YouTube channel, go ahead and do that. Subscribe and hit the notification bell, and you will be notified when it happens. Oh, joy. I put 7 p.m. on here. They're probably all confused. That's why nobody's here. They were here a half an hour earlier. Well, if you come in, we're going to read some horror stories from the royalty-free horror story. There's a couple different ways to get your stories here on Midnight Monsters. They must be true, paranormal, and true. I used to take stalker stories, but unless they're kind of a paranormal stalkerish, or you could feel, sense them, and it has anything to do with paranormal, that's fine. That dog. But if you are, if it's about a stalker or something, I don't know. Paranormal, all about the paranormal here. So I am going to go to the stories and start. I would let you know there are 3 ways to get your story in. You can call them into the radio show at, let's get the phone number back up here. You can call it to the radio show at 516-453-9150, and I will take your call in the studio. You can also send it in to scarystoriesonvideo@gmail.com, or I have a phone number where you can call it in and just record it. And that's really cool because you could just record a few minutes of it, be done with it, as long as I can understand it and other people can understand it, and it's fine. And there's no swearing or anything like that. I'm trying to keep the show clean. But you can call the phone number in there, and I will put it up at the end of the show. It's in the description. Obviously, I can't do anything with it right now. But you can call that number and leave the information, leave your story in there. Now, let's get on with the scary stories tonight. Remember, you can call in to the show at 516-453-9150 and call in your stories. If you are looking for horror stories, just regular horror stories like creepypastas, you can go to Creepypasta Boo and listen to creepypastas. Or if you are looking for stories that I personally write, those are the stories that are going to be on Scary Story Time as soon as I merge everything over. I'm going to have 3 channels. I know, it's crazy, but I like to keep things organized and separated, and YouTube finally helped me make that decision. Oh, I'm so sorry about that dog. He's so annoying. All right. The first story tonight is called Sleep Paralysis, Possession, Ghost Story. It is on royalty-free horror stories, or free horror stories on Reddit. Sorry, I had to tell the dog be quiet. We have an owl in the tree outside that likes to fly around and harass him, and he barks at it, and my neighbor gets mad, and everything goes wrong. All right. Here we go. So I've never really talked about this, but this all started about 3 years ago when I was talking to this girl for a little while. She lived in an older house and had the entire basement to herself. I remember her saying things like how her house was haunted. I didn't really believe her until this one night. So me and my friend Nick are spending the night at her house, and I remember my friend laying on the couch at like 9:30 p.m., and he was just staring blankly at the wall. I didn't think anything was wrong. I thought he was just messing around. I started calling his name. Yo, Nick, Nick. Nothing. Couldn't get a response from him. Meanwhile, I walk across the room and Natalie was sitting on her bed. About half an hour later, about after a minute of him staring blank, he jumps off the couch saying, I don't fuck with that. I don't mess with that. Freaking out, and Natalie started laughing. It didn't really dawn on me until later that I think she knew what was happening. Anyways, I started laughing too, thinking it was just a joke. About 5 minutes pass and he calms down and sits back down on the couch. This is where things get a little creepy and interesting. She had this screen door in her room that opened outside. I specifically remember as soon as I took 2 steps out of her room to go outside, every single light in her room, including outlets, all blew out, and it was pitch black. And it got really creepy for a second. We tried everything, and the only thing in her room that would work was the lamp that was next to the couch, right next to Nick's head. Anyways, this was all kind of new to me. I didn't really know what to think about the situation. I then remember things getting weird in the room, like Natalie was getting super agitated over the littlest things and wouldn't let me sleep in her bed. So I was like, whatever, I'll just sleep on the floor at the foot of her bed. I remember I could just not fall asleep that night. I was laying there while everyone else was asleep when I had sleep paralysis type feeling. I couldn't move or anything. I remember this happened to me once when I was young, and all I could think to do was pray. I started praying that Our Father prayer in my head, and about halfway through it stopped. I just tried to go back to bed. About 30 seconds pass and it hits me again, and I can't move. This is giving me chills just typing this. So I start praying again, and halfway through the prayer, it stops. At this point, I was like, whatever, and it's gone. Until about 30 seconds pass again, but this time it was much more frightening. I remember it felt as if somebody plugged me into an outlet, and I was being shocked. My whole body was kind of shaking, and whatever it was holding me down hard. I remember trying to move my arm as I could to rip the blanket off Nick and wake him up and help me, but in my head I was saying to Our Father and let it halfway through again. At this point, I was freaking out. I was literally scared. It has 2 R's. For a few months. Could be either. After that, I literally slept in the same room as my mom for a month or so. It took me a while to kind of make sense of what happened that night, but I think some entity or demon or something, I don't know, tried messing with my friend Nick, and when I laughed, it taunted it and it targeted me. The story is not over. So this happened about 2 years ago when I moved into my new house, which I still live in today. I remember my aunt was visiting and it was late, around 2 a.m. I was just chilling, playing video games, doing my thing when I hear this weird sound to my left or right. I had my gaming headset on, so I just ignored it and kept playing. When I thought I heard the same sound the second time from behind me on my bed, I took off my headset to wait and hear it again to find out what it was. I sat there for like 2 minutes, just waiting, when I heard the sound right next to me, who was literally all I could make out, and it was just weird and creeped me out. So I ran into my mom's room and told her something was making sounds in my room, and she was like, oh, it's probably just a sprinkler system or some BS, and went outside to look. I remember I walked back into the hall to my room and stood there waiting for my mom to come back inside when I literally heard the loudest woo in my ear. I ran outside of my house crying and freaking out, and my mom thought I was crazy. I remember hearing the voice another time when I was trying to sleep, and I just kept telling it to go away. And I haven't had any crazy stuff happen since, even though I do get sleep paralysis sometimes. Most recent experience I had was like a presence of a woman in my room, and I couldn't move. I don't know. All this stuff is just creepy to me. I figured I'd post about it and share my experience. If anyone has any insight, please let me know. Okay, so that was from Free Horror Stories. That's a new one on there. Remember, you can call in your story. There isn't a lot of time tonight. There's still, a certain amount of minutes we're trying to go through because I only get 30 minutes. There's 16 minutes left of the program for you to call. So if you do call, keep in mind, it's going on the podcast and on YouTube. So we have a lot of fun on YouTube and people get on here. Not many people know about Midnight Monsters yet. We usually chat on Creepypasta Boo or Scary Story Time, so it might take a little while for this one to gain popularity. But when it does, we're all going to have some fun and chat. You can call in your story at 516-453-9150 and tell it to me. I'm going to tell you that I have had a sleep paralysis problem one night. That's all I know of is one night out of many. Okay, I mean, out of all the times, I've only had it happen once. One night out of many. I was sleeping and my kids were really, really young. And for some reason, they always ended up in the room with me when they were young because they were scared of something and they were always scared. They're always in my room. And so the one night we had just moved and I was in their room and I was in between them. I had my arms around them sleeping. And I woke up and I could not move at all. I could not move. I'm looking around. My kids are there. I'm looking around. Nothing's going on. There's this weird hum. Everything's really strange. And then I see these two arms stretch out toward one of them. And I wrap my arms around them really tight as, I don't know how because I couldn't really move, but I could tell I was trying. And I kept thinking in my head, I don't know if I was saying it or thinking in my head. It's just a really weird experience. It was like, no, you can't have them. They're mine. You can't have them. They're mine. And then the arms withdrew and it disappeared and suddenly I could move. That was so creepy. Really super creepy. So I don't know. My son says he's had sleep paralysis. I should have had him come in and tell a story, but he is doing homework. That's right. He's off doing homework and having fun, so he's not going to do that. But, the sleep paralysis stories have a lot to do with other things going on in life. Some people say it's stress. Some people think it's aliens. Some people think it's psychosis. I mean, some people think it's like the electrical lines outside. There's all kinds of different explanations that people come up with, but nobody really has anything that I've read. So let's see if there is another one in here regarding sleep paralysis. I don't want to go jumping around. Here we go. Sleep paralysis or an alien encounter. Maybe that is like the one I had. I created a Reddit account only to share the story. I wanted to get out there to see if there are others who have had similar experiences. Without drawing this out too long, I will begin by letting you know that sleep paralysis is not and never has been a recurring issue for me. The two instances this phenomenon happened once in grade school and recently as an adult reaching my 30s. I can't remember my exact age, but I think it is safe to say I was between 10 and 12 years old at the time. It was the day before Valentine's Day and I was very sick with a fever. upset I would be missing out on my school festivities and sweets the following day. I was sent to bed early and terribly ill as I dozed off. Now, this flu could have attributed to my experience. I have thought about the possibility of it being some sort of fever-induced delirium, but some details following had made me not entirely positive this was the case. I must have awoken between 12 to 3 a.m., and I was laying on my side facing the wall my bed was pressed up against. I awoke with a pressing feeling of a presence in my room and assumed it was my mother checking in on me. As my fever was pretty bad, I called out to her and was met with silence. At this point, I knew who or whatever in my room was not my mother. Fear took over my rationality. It wasn't that I couldn't move, it was I was too scared to. I did manage to roll onto my back and kept my eyes locked on my ceiling. I did not want to look at it. It was at this time I began to feel a sense of peace and my dread dissipated. I began to feel comfort from the presence. As soon as my senses calmed, I'll never forget what I saw next. A hand came into view, slowly cupping over my brow. It was not human. It was long. The digits on the hand were unusually long as well. The hand was slender, graceful, and downright creepy. It had a luminescence to it like I had never seen. As soon as it made contact with my forehead, I was out cold. The next morning I awoke in my bed, I shit you not, completely healthy. No fever, no trace of my previously dripping nose and nasty cough. I felt a strange sensation of well-being even. I went immediately to my mother's room and asked her if she had been in my room, and confused, she informed me she had not, and commented on my strange behavior. I told her what I could recount from the previous night's experience, and it was brought up from time to time, years and years after, as a very strange occurrence. My mother even went as far as to call it an angel. Nobby, stop! Sorry, my son's dog only barks during live streams. Go figure. Now on to the present. I feel it is relevant to mention that I have seen multiple UFOs throughout my life. It may also be worth to say that I live in a very rural state. I have seen UFOs alone, in groups, and with people who can verify the trajectory. I know I am not insane. Day and nighttime sightings, aliens, and UFOs do not cross my mind often, as my life now is busy. About a month ago, I had another experience that shook me up badly and made me recall the encounter I had as a child. I awoke around 12 or 3 a.m. to a distinct feeling of a presence in the room. I thought immediately we had to have a break and the intruder was in the room. I was on my back and filled with so much terror I couldn't move. I have a nightlight adjacent to my bed that I share with my fiancé. He was sleeping on the side closest to where I assumed this thing was. I was petrified and too scared to look at his side of the bed, and instead saw the shadow of this thing cast on the wall right beside me. It had to have been no taller than 4 feet. From what I could tell from this shadow, it is a slender, large, oval-shaped head. Again, I could not bring myself to look at it. It has bothered me that these things, in these 2 experiences, I could not bring myself to look. Something inside of me said, it's all over if you see it. Instead of feeling calm this time, I felt my life was in danger. I did not get the good feelings I had with my previous encounter. I was out of my mind with fear, and I found I was unable to scream or move or anything except my fingers. It raised its hand up, and I instantly recognized it, even by the shadow. It was the same sort of hand I saw in my room over 10 years ago. At this point, I could feel my fingers pinching my fiancé's thigh, but he was not waking up. This fueled my panic. I was so scared. I actually fainted. I can't recall any dreams or details from there. The next night, I laid in bed with a full nightlight on, nights off, and asked my fiancé to stand on his knees by the bed. He was shadow-mimicked an accurate projection placement of whatever it was, blocking the light from the night previously. I have been deeply troubled by this since and have no other occasions of sleep paralysis in my entire life. So this was just some freak brain chemistry hiccup and lucid nightmare, or actually an encounter with an interdimensional extraterrestrial being. I don't know. All right. So, is it sleep paralysis, or is it something else, something more sinister, an alien? I don't know. We don't have very much time left. If you're going to call in, you only have a couple of minutes to tell your story. 516-453-9150. Or if you're on YouTube, you can stop by in the chat and say hi. And yeah. So I don't know. That's kind of the same experience I had that night when I was sleeping and my kids were right there and my arms were around them and those arms stretched out. I didn't see anything, just the arm and the hands. That's kind of creepy. I never even noticed that. Wow. You can call in. You still have about 7 minutes left, I think, maybe a minute or two after. It's I started a little bit like a minute later. So if you want to call in, the number is 516-453-9150. And I know I switched. You have 5 minutes left, not 3. I know I switched the channels around and it's confusing right now and it's confusing the heck out of me, but I have to do it this way. So again, if you're looking for horror stories and scary stories, you're looking for just my stuff, that is at the Scary Story Time, Spooky Boo Scary Story Time YouTube channel. Midnight Monsters is a true scary story channel. So you're going to call in your story. You're going to tell me your story. A few minutes, 2 or 3 minutes, 4 or 5 minutes, just blow right through it. Tell your story, hang up, let the next person call in. And if you're looking for creepypasta stories, well, of course, there's still Creepypasta Boo. I'm not giving up on those creepypasta stories. I actually love them. I love most, the creepypasta stories out there. They're fun to read. So, if you're looking to support the channel, go to patreon.com/spookyboo. Patreon.com/spookyboo scary story time. You can sign up for a $1 or a $5 monthly subscription. It'll include a newsletter. The $1 includes a newsletter and posts every once in a while. The $5 includes the full podcast for all 3 channels, as well as future pre-released versions of the MP3s or of the stories and the shows. So, I mean, of course, you're not going to get Midnight Monsters pre-release because that's live, but you will get the creepypasta stories and when I write a scary story and put it out there. That's what's going to be on that channel. A couple of people on Twitter that I wanted to shout out tonight. A couple of people doing some really great things. First of all, and she really needs your support on YouTube to get out there. She's coming up for monetization again. She has a great channel, and that is the Homicidal Homemaker. That's I don't know her Twitter account name off the top of my head, but check her out on YouTube. It's Homicidal Homemaker. Also check out HorrorTube. That's a great place to get some good scary stories. You get lots of scary stories and other people on HorrorTube. Horror Hive. Unfortunately, HorrorTube is not an item at the moment. I don't know if it's coming back. It was going to be kind of maybe, I don't know, a YouTube replacement, maybe. But a lot of people have a lot of things to do and it's really busy and everything. It wasn't mine. It belonged to somebody else's. There's Horror Hive and Homicidal Homemaker. And also, if you watch TV, always watch creaturefeatures.tv. If you're in the San Francisco Bay Area, you can get that on Coffee TV 20, or you can get it on YouTube, or I believe on Vimeo through creaturefeatures.tv. So those are my favorite places to go. Actually, I have a lot of friends that I listen to on YouTube. I listen to their creepypastas. I think everybody has a different way of telling it, and I think everybody has their own, unique style. I think it's amazing. But I want you to call in your stories on this station in your own words. Call them in your own words and your own whatever happened to you. This won't be me reading your story. I mean, I can. You could send it to me over YouTube I'm not YouTube. You can send it to me over email or Facebook and I'll read it, but you can also call it in yourself.
90 seconds.
So it's, you can call it in on yourself. Let me find that other phone number I'll give you. And here it is. 646-653-1643. And you can call and leave up to a 10-minute message about your scary story. And then I will play it on the air. I'm sorry about the dog. Hopefully he won't be
60 seconds.
Next stream. No, I'm kidding. I don't know what he barks at. He's insane. Maybe it's a ghost. Anyway, I'm going to head out of here in about 60 seconds. Thank you for listening. I'm sorry it's such a short show. For the next few weeks, it will be at least. And we can lengthen it. But to lengthen the show, I'll need to be able to get the funding for it. So hopefully that'll happen in the next month or so. Anyway, I will talk to you later. Thank you for tuning in. I see you out there. I see you not calling. Be sure to call in next time. Have your stories ready. And I will let everybody listen to you
10
tell your
seconds.
story. You have a great night. Bye-bye.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Damn it, dog. You're so loud. Wow. Okay, I gotta shut off YouTube somehow. Let's go to YouTube. Bye, YouTubers. Thanks for being here. Good night. I know you're out there. I see you watching, but nobody was in the chat tonight. Maybe we had new members tonight and the other people think I'm over at Scary Story Time. I don't know. But you have a great night and come back. I'm hoping to do it again on Monday night. I'm on Tuesday night, maybe Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, maybe extend it to Wednesday. I don't know. It just depends on how things go and how it grows. So have a great night. I'll check you out then.